Hello everyone, my name is Nasali Daniela Rose and I'm here to tell you about the models of education. And the first one is the industrial model of education, where the teacher comes to class and just lectures. They just dictate whatever they want the child to learn, whatever they want the child to cram. And in this case, you can give an example of the old curriculum where we were given notes to write. You'll find yourself having many books where you have to cram all those notes. Anyways, the children were suppressed and this minimized creativity. And there was a standardized way of learning, and some of its principles include standardization, teacher-centered learning, age grading, and discipline. This really emphasized discipline. The children are supposed to be disciplined and do whatever the teacher wants. As bad as it is, it also has its strengths, and under this there is mass education, where every child is entitled to education, rich or poor, able or disabled, they have the right to education. Since that time is the industrial revolution time, so children, like, they trained children to be like workers in their factories, and in that way no child is left behind. It discouraged creativity and innovation in children, and these are some of its strengths. Well, due to the emphasis on project activities like those group work activities, this encouraged the development of teamwork skills, that children learn to work in groups, to work with others, and it also fosters critical thinking, where the child is allowed to think in a different perspective, different from the teacher's view, and innovation. And it's also encouraged problem solving skills. Yeah, that's all about the post-industrial mode of education. So there's a man called Saken Robinson, and he's an educator, one that criticized the industrial mode of education, saying that learning should be child-centered and that schools should not operate like factories, since this limits creativity, individuality, and divergent thinking in children. And he says that creativity is as important as literacy in education, so we ought to treat them with the same status. He went ahead to encourage personalized learning, and he discouraged the standardized testing, where the teacher comes to class and just gives tests according to what they taught. He also believed that education should be organic, just like the growth of a tree. You can't just come and force it to grow. It should grow at its own pace, and he believed that children grow at different paces. In this case, the teachers are more of facilitators, where they come and guide the children where need be, not every time, but where they really need to be guided. He promoted play-based learning, valued creativity and innovation, divergent thinking, and multiple intelligences. He argued that culture should be integrated in education, like that knowledge. So that's all about Saken Robinson. So there's also authentic learning, and this one connects the classroom activities to the environment. We saw children were taken to the garden and they learned about colors, seeing the different leaves, flowers. Yeah, it also supports the development of life skills such as teamwork, problem solving, communication, and adaptability. This this helps in the holistic development of a child. So its weaknesses are as follows, like this mode of education suppressed the children's needs and it pressured them a lot to meet the teacher's demands. It also ignored their individual learning. They were put in groups and the teacher cannot reach on every one of them, but they just do math education and at the end of the day give abrupt quizzes, tests, where they expect everyone to pass, and that's the pressure. On the other hand, there is also the post-industrial mode of education, where this arrived as a response to the needs that were there in the Industrial Revolution era. This is also known as the 21st century, like the 20th century mode of education, where this emphasized the integration of technology in learning, where you see people now use projectors, computers while teaching, like how we study in class, and child-centered learning, where every teacher, the teacher can reach on every child. Since the child is nurtured socially, socially, emotionally, physically, and cognitively. The teachers act as facilitators and co-learners, where they are actively engaged in the child's learning, not forcing them to do things, but they let them explore on their own while they are guiding them. So there is also the Montessori mode of education, which was created, like founded by Dr. Maria Montessori, and she believed that children learn best through their senses. Yeah, the five senses. And in this case, she created many items like the pink tower, and these foster the learning of a child, but through their senses. She believes that education should teach children and prepare them for the real world out there, not just for class, but also for the real world. Some of its principles are prepared environment, where we saw some in the group works. The environments were prepared, like the classrooms were very prepared. The teacher put everything the child needs to learn on their own. Individuality, where children learn on their own and they correct themselves, like try and error. And child-centered learning, and also respect for the child. She also believed that education, like for children to study and be in class and concentrate, they must not be promised like if you come to class and you study, I'll give you sweets, so I'll clap for you. Children are not supposed to be praised. Learning, like, they should be motivated from within. And also encouraged sensorial exploration. Yeah, that's all about Maria Montessori. So there's also the Reggio Emilia model, and this one originated in a small town called Reggio Emilia in Italy by Loris Malaguzzi and a group of parents after the Second World War, since they wanted to give their children sorry, a better life, but through education. And this model was to allow children express themselves through the 100 languages, like singing, dancing, drawing, reading and writing, and so on. But we see many schools here in Uganda still the 99 and only leave them with one, let's say reading and writing. They don't provide enough resources to allow the children explore in and express themselves in their 100 languages. In this mode of education, the teacher designs the curriculum, like the learning content, throughout the child's ability. Like, they observe the children, know what they do best, and design the curriculum according to that. And this creates a good relationship between the teacher and the child, since they are co-learners. They learn together with the children. Since the children are so inquisitive, they ask many questions, and the teacher is, yes, he's expected to reply and be an active learner like them. This model also emphasizes that parents should be involved in the children's learning. Learning should not be left to the teachers alone, but the parents are supposed to be involved. This model portrays the child as the protagonist, like child-centered learning, and it also fosters creativity and innovation, plus critical thinking in the children. Yes. And the environment is the third teacher, since the environment in this case is the classroom, and it should be prepared with everything the child needs to learn. And this mode of education is proved to foster the holistic development of a child, physically, emotionally, socially, and cognitively. Yes, that has been me, Nasali Daniela Rose. Stay blessed.